Alright, so it's a new day. Got the front bumper off. So the cherry picker or the engine crane can get closer to pulling the motor. So I can go from the front instead of the side. I'll probably remove this to the actual foam bumper guard. And while the front wheel was off, I was able to check some stuff out, and I noticed that the tie rod ends are completely done for. And if you look, alignment was probably really bad because it ate through the plastic and the plastic liner. So I got some replacements for that, and I'm not really gonna record that because that's not this video either. But with the power of YouTube, now we got the brand new Moog end links in, and I got it as close as I could to where it was already, but she's obviously still gonna need an alignment. Alright, so one thing I did forget to record was basically the front subframe does have to be dropped down quite a bit just to be able to clear everything in the engine bay to take the motor out. If you notice, you'll see some dowel pins. You'll see 2 on each side, and the bolts that are in each corner, you'll have to remove those. And if you can tell, I have a jack in between the actual engine hoist, so it is kind of tricky. You can do it without a lift. It just takes some planning. During this step, just take your time, because when you do drop the front subframe, there are still components that are attached to it, including the steering components, so like the steering box and the shaft or the rack and pinion. That's all still connected, so it won't let you drop this more than about 6 to 8 inches, which is more than enough clearance that you'll need. The reason why you need to do this again is just because the harmonic balancer, it doesn't clear the subframe.
Is there any way to go from the top?
So by lowering that subframe, it'll allow you to move the motor forward and eventually out of the engine bay.
Hey guys, so again, trying to get that engine out. Still, looks like there's a couple bolts in it still. It's almost out though, so we're getting to it. We got 3 people working on it right now, this including me, so that makes 2. And yeah, we'll give you an update.
I wasn't able to film very much on the last try at this, so we did try to remove the motor by dropping the subframe. Everything was perfect, subframe was down, motor was ready to go out, but there is, since it's an automatic, there is a clamp for the spline from the torque tube, meaning you have to loosen up a bolt that allows you to release the spline from the torque tube for the motor to come out. And it'll make more sense when I show you some pictures, which I'll insert here in a sec. Alright, so this is the bell housing. In here is the spline, and if you look, there is a clamp on the actual spline, and that is the other end of the bolt, so I can't unlock that. I can't loosen that up from this side. But I couldn't turn the motor because in automatic you cannot put it in neutral without having the car on. So I was able to bypass that after a couple days, did some research, saw that there was a solenoid that allows you to put in a neutral, so I manually just pulled that to put it in neutral. The reason why I needed to put it in neutral is because the bolt that holds the spline was on the opposite side where I couldn't see it, like I couldn't access it. And I'm talking about accessing it from the bottom bell housing port, like the inspection port. So again, it'll make more sense when I put pictures up and you can see what I'm talking about. But with the car in neutral, I was able to manually spin the crank, turning that spline or the actual flywheel upside down, so that way I had access to the bolt. Long story short, I got that bolt out, and this should be ready to come out now. So enough talking, let's get this motor out. Alright, so here's the plan. The engine hoist is gonna support the motor. Engine mount's already unbolted, so once the subframe comes down, which if you look, I already loosened those up. I do have it supported with a jack, so I'll lower that down slowly, which should naturally come away from the motor, giving us some space to clear the crank pulley from the steering, the actual steering shaft. But yeah, so I'm gonna lower it down and go as slow as I can here. Alright, so if you look, this is coming down. I should be able to, if you look, the motor mount is completely off now. And I should be able to lower it down. I just want to go slow, just to make sure no lines are being pulled or pinched. We did this last time, like I said. So if you look, this side is definitely lower than, or higher than the other side because of the steering rack. But we should be fine. I'm gonna put a jack on the other side, so just to level it out. That's off. Alright, so motor's all the way forward. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we got a big gap between the bell housing and the actual motor. But there's about an inch, and I'm going to show you guys here in a sec. There's about an inch we still have to go forward. I just don't have the space to do it. So here is what I was talking about earlier. That's that bolt I was talking about as far as how it's attached to the spline. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hold on one sec. Okay. I don't know how well this is going to focus because it's really dark, but that's that clamp I was talking about that holds on to the spline. I was able to flip the motor around, the crank, and expose that bolt, which is already gone. And that loosens up the grip on the spline, which is connected to the torque tube. Now, I can actually see it through the actual clamp right there that I still need to come up about an inch forward just to get released from the rear of the car. So I should have done this earlier, but I think my only best option at this point is to remove these 15mm nuts. There's 6 of them. I was thinking about doing that too so I can get more clearance instead of having to remove or pull it off of the spline going forward. If I remove this plate, I could literally just lift up. So I'm going to remove these 3 bolts, or sorry, 6 bolts, and then that should let me just pull straight up.
More?
Yeah.
Oh.
More. Keep going. More. It's off already. Lift again. Try pulling it out now.
Huh?
Try pulling it out.
What that?
Try pulling it out, but lift it up more. Alright, it's off the plate. Oh, hold on. Let me get out. Alright, let's go. Yep. Good. We're gonna need to move it forward a little bit. Let's lower this down. So I'm gonna lower this down so that way.
How come this one is so low? Pushing it down.
You told you. No, let's move forward a little bit.
Huh?
Let's move forward a little bit. Oh. Is it still attached to something there? Oh, just this. It's okay. Keep going up.
Okay.
It's because...
Wait. Pull it out.
Go forward.
Yeah. Then okay. A little bit more. Okay.
I want to make sure.
Oh, wait.
Come forward.
Okay. Wait. Yes. Wait. Ah.
What?
Okay, go ahead. There, no. Let's do this one. Oh. Okay, slowly.
There. Oh, it's just the front. It's hitting the plastic on the.
See, that's what too much tilted. Never mind. Right.
All right.
Model.
All right. Let's take it out. All right. Ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's move it back.
No, wait.
Oh, no, this side. So. All right. Motor's out. So one of the holdups that we had was this power steering line. So don't forget to remove the power steering line. It was like the motor was twisting, so we noticed it like halfway up out of the motor, which is right here. So I just removed it from the bottom because it was easier to access that way. But other than that, it's time to clean this and prep the new motor with the accessories that we need, like the crank pulley. I think we need a new tensioner for this too. Alright, so new motor is ready to go. Crankshaft pulley is torqued down to 250 and then backed off for 37. Flex plate and all the bolts are on. And now engine bay was cleaned up a little bit, and I did remove the brackets for the radiator so I can pull it back a little bit so we have more space. But yeah, ready to put her in. Got her in. I think what helped out was just to get the actual bell housing and the motor aligned. We put a jack right in between on both the bell housing and the actual oil pan. That way it lined up perfectly and we were able to slide it back. Just needs another half an inch or so, and then we might be able to just thread some bolts in and slowly pull it together. So, hey guys, I don't know what video this is, but this is day 6, 7, 8. I don't even know. But we got the motor in. Everything down below is pretty much buttoned up. We got all the starter. We got the starter and the starter wiring plugged in, all the knock sensors and grounds. There's actually not too many attachments down below. So now that that's all finished, I already did the belts. So we have the upper serpentine belt as well as the AC belt. That was done kind of when it was halfway through the process of drop-in, just because it makes it easier to do that when you have space for it. Also, the ABS unit does get in the way when you're dropping this in, so we ended up removing this, keeping this whole bracket off, which holds the alternator and the power steering. And then before actually getting the subframe back up, so if you notice, subframe's already attached. before raising the subframe back up, made my way into installing the bracket first with the pump right in front of it, and then putting the pump in. The pump is actually held on by 3 bolts in the bracket here. So doing that before actually raising the subframe, it'll make your life a lot easier. But yeah, now I think I'm going to get everything ready as far as right in front of the radiator. So that I'm gonna replace, I'm actually just gonna switch this out because it's hard to get the clamp off this thermostat housing. So I'm just gonna reuse the pre-existing one, put the clamp back on. So I'll remove this, keep that for a rainy day, and then get all the wiring as well as these hoses nice and situated where they belong. And then we can start putting the intake on and plugging in all the wiring. So almost there. And just like that, we got all the fun stuff on. So I got the intake on, fuel rail, wiring's all plugged in. Had the hardest time remembering where the vacuum line in the back of the intake went, and just so you guys know, it's the brake booster, which I just plugged in right now. Alright, so fluids are in. Got the oil in there. All the spark plugs are good. I just put the dipstick in. So you don't want to forget. You don't want to forget that. Coil packs. Primary upstream O2 sensors are in. I didn't do the downstream yet, but that shouldn't hinder us from starting it up. Got a little bit of power fluid in there, power steering fluid in there, so that way she doesn't run dry. And I don't have any coolant yet, but I just want to hear her start before I fill that up. But yeah, just going over everything again, double checking that I got all my connections, and I'm ready to put the battery in. Alright, so in this clip, it was actually going to be one of the first attempts to starting the car. Little did I know though, it wasn't going to start, just because there was an issue with a check engine light saying that it wasn't picking up the crank angle sensor. So I replaced it thinking, you know, that was the problem. It was actually a lot bigger than that. Long story short, there actually are 2 variants of the reluctor wheels in these C6 Corvettes. The early model 2005 24 tooth reluctor wheel versus the newer LS2 C6 Corvettes had a 58 tooth reluctor wheel. If you want to pause this screen, you'll be able to see it on here. So in the end, there were 2 ways of fixing this issue. One would be taking the motor out and replacing that reluctor wheel, or 2, the easy route, which was getting a converter box from that company that I just showed you on the screenshot, which converts that signal to the 58 tooth that so the ECU could read it. So after this, you'll see where we actually were able to start it after installing that converter box. Ready? You ready?
Oh my God! Oh my God! Sounds good! There's no water yet, right?
Huh?
There's no water yet, right?
No, not yet. Oil pressure's good. Those are from the O2 because I sprayed the...
Yeah, the engine oil from the...
Alright, so I didn't really record any of this other stuff, but I got the exhaust put back on, hood's on, aligned, front bumper's on, but I haven't put the plastics yet. I just wanted to get it down so we can go for a little test run. Quiet. I gotta go down that road we usually go on because it's like...
Hi.
He needs exhaust.
Did you put an aftermarket exhaust on?
Oh, good. It's just